Welcome back.
Okay.
Happy New Year. We'll get right into it. We've got an amended agenda tonight. Do we have a motion to accept the amended agenda? Seconded by Toby. Oh, thank you. Is there any other additions to the agenda? Okay. So we had committee appreciation with Mayor Heintzman. Let's go over the committee meeting minutes from last. Did everyone get a chance to review those? Is there anyone objects to approving or changing the minutes from last? Approved, yeah. Can someone second? Susan. Okay, great. Is there any business arising that hasn't been brought up already? We can cover that under roundtable if. Okay, so right to business. We've got the budget update and park maintenance contract. Is that yeah? No.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Okay, great. Sorry, what was your name?
My name is Ben Kinishenko.
Ben.
I'm the Technical Operations Manager in the Public Works Department.
Great.
So Bob Smith and Sue are both away today, so you got me instead.
Well, thanks. Welcome.
Yeah, no problem. So I guess you're looking for a budget upgrade for the maintenance contract?
Maintenance contract, and if we have an overall park budget too. Do we have anything allotted to that this year?
So council hasn't given final approval for the 2018 budget
Okay.
yet. It's been third reading, correct?
It's gone through third reading, so everything can be allotted.
Okay.
We haven't allotted which tax rates.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pretty much.
It's 95% there, but I don't think there's going to be any changes from
Okay.
last year.
So we can look at that next.
So I can throw this on if you want.
Just a quick question. Has the park maintenance contract been offered, the RFP or whatever?
Yeah, so the RFP was awarded to John Harvey again. I don't know if there was any other
Oh,
bidder.
yeah, Susan.
Was there any money left over from last year that needs to be carried forward?
Because it's all operational, it can't be carried forward. We don't carry forward capital.
We've been carrying forward the leftover of the smoke Bluffs budget.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did for a year or two, but we were told that we weren't. Like it is the
I thought it was.
maintenance, so it's not meant to be carried over. But you're right that there was a couple years there that we did.
I thought we lobbied to have it carried forward each year just because it was only a minimal amount of like 25,000. So.
Okay.
we
You'd
just
have
check into
to,
that?
you have to run that by finance, yeah.
Perfect.
So what I did is just put together a little, we've kind of got two budgets for the Smoke Bluffs. The first one is our community parks contract services budget, of which 90% is dedicated to Smoke Bluffs and the maintenance contract there. A little bit of it is for other community parks. So you can see 2016, 2017, and 2018 what our actual and budgeted amounts were. I only have 2018 highlighted in red just to indicate that it's not an approved budget, but we don't expect it to change. Contract pretty much stays the same, and then the other one is the Smoke Bluffs committee costs line item. So it's been $5,000 every year. Very little was spent in 2017. So that's something I guess for you to keep in mind for 2018.
So really?
I think that's something we allot we allot specific tasks to, right? Like if we want to build stairs or trail building supplies, or is that?
No, that's in the regular capital budget.
Oh, okay.
This is a committee cost. So.
Oh, okay. So, what kind of things could this be? Like, what would be an example? I've only been in the chair for about 6 months, so.
Surveying? Was that
This is
done then?
my first workless committee. meeting.
Okay.
I wonder how else-
Elaine, do you know? Or,
I think that Councillor Chappelle is right that this is like a budget to keep this committee running.
okay.
So I don't like, you wouldn't be able to pay for like maintenance or capital projects for the park, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure what it's.
We did spend some money on the playground, the play park.
That would have come out of capital as well.
Okay.
But I'm thinking that things like when we went out surveying, that sort of expense, when it's your time, or if there's any money extra like that, that the committee spends on going out and doing, like, that's outside of capital expenses, but soft costs for the committee, like time or for expertise like yourself, that's on the committee that gets spent.
Like I think in 2017, that $180 was essentially spent to purchase anchors.
I don't feel any of this makes any sense at all.
No, we don't pay people from the committee to go out and do anything.
No, I'm just wondering where the 1,000 in 2016,
No, I
that's when
mean,
that
because
was done.
in the last 2 years, we've been, a budget items been brought to the red meetings every time, and we've actually been close to overspending. So particularly in 2016, we were over all the, so if this is I mean, it doesn't seem to me clear that this is,
Keep
Just
in
the
mind, you've got
committee
the
costs.
contract services account that
yeah, so we,
much closer to where your budget amount is.
so that,
And that's not actually.
That's what we've been reviewing, I believe. Bob brought that, the last time Bob brought the spreadsheet
Mhm.
with all the items in it. Remember we had the Lumberland stairs were on
Yeah.
there. I believe that's,
So we just lumped the two together when we reviewed it.
or is this is this the maintenance contract?
This is the maintenance contract budget.
Okay.
Okay, that's not the,
A lot of it, I think, John pays for out of that 2016.
Is it possible for someone at the district, I don't know if it would be Sue, or to send kind of an email to the committee just updating, like saying what each pay item's for and what it can be spent on, and then what we've used in those for the past, just so it's clear to everyone where our funds can be allotted? Okay. And was the awarded contract amount for the maintenance contract, was it closer to what they spent last year, or is it the same, it's very similar?
It's, I think, almost identical.
Okay.
And the amount is, I've forgotten, for the maintenance contract.
Pardon me?
The amount for the maintenance contract is?
Is it $24,000?
That's what we have budgeted in that general ledger account.
That's the overall budget.
There's $20,000 budgeted for Smoke Bluffs, or Smoke Bluffs operation and maintenance contract.
But John's was it 13 last year or 18?
I think it was around 18.
Okay.
and when were the carry forward years, because they were, when I was on council, and I started in 2011, was it before this term?
It was, I think, before 2015 even, so maybe sort of 2013 to 2015 range.
Yeah, can you check on that? Because I'm pretty sure that there was some provision made so that if money wasn't spent, it was actually carried forward because it was pure maintenance.
I remember we had that conversation
Yeah.
before where we wanted to carry forward because that we were almost overspending in some of our previous years. And so it was just nice to have that carried forward because then we felt more comfortable moving forward with bigger projects.
And we could
That-
save money to do bigger projects like paving and everything.
I think that came up in the first year I was chair, right at the beginning. So that may have been at the end of 2014, bringing the 2014 budget into 2015.
That's right.
Still struggling with the 2016 number there, because I'm pretty sure in 2016 we were talking about the fact that we were out of money, so it doesn't make,
Yeah,
I
and then
don't,
being $4,000 short of spending.
doesn't make sense, yeah, it just feels like somebody's got their accounting muddled up somewhere,
Okay.
to me, that would be my sense, I guess.
Agreed.
Okay. So let's move on to parks events update. So I haven't heard much from Devin about events in the park, but one thing we did receive, I passed out to everyone, is we received from the operators of the Survival Run a thank you letter for helping facilitate their race last year. From what I understand from Dylan Morgan, the event organizer, is that it was pretty successful. There was very few people that actually made it to the park because it's a very long race. So the few hundred people that signed up, I think maybe there was like under 10 people that actually competed to the final end because it was like hundreds of kilometers in racing. So he gave us this plaque, which I thought was very nice, and they give this to the
Much larger in the picture.
yeah. They give this to all the, like, they collect these plaques as they go through the race. So if anybody would like to take this home, they're welcome to have it.
We can post it on our notice board.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice gesture.
Should go in one of the kiosks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Going up there?
I'll take care of that.
Okay, great, thanks, Brian.
Especially the Bluffs, I did not call.
Yeah.
So that I thought was great. He wanted to attend this meeting but was unavailable to attend this month. So if everyone's interested in hearing what he'd like to do in the park, I'll bring him to speak at the next meeting. He seemed pretty amenable to taking our recommendations last year, which was great. So that's all I have for events. I guess we can go through the capital management and maintenance priorities, but what I wanted to just kind of remind everyone of is because we have less meetings now, we do have to make sure we make decisions and go forward with them because we've got a few months now until our next meeting. So let's try and make the most of this conversation and see what we can get out of it, some action items. So we've got capital priorities. I'm gonna actually pull on my glasses. So we've got, so our high priorities, for the short term, replacing the kiosk map, road signage at the park entrance, and finalizing an addition loop to extend the Smoke Bluff Summit near the microwave tower. Include a new east side trail past Grand Dog Crag, and if located on private or crown land, get necessary, what are we missing from that?
Permits.
Permits, okay. And then for the long-term high priority, we've got acquire property along Mamquam Blind Channel. We can, so status notes. For the kiosk map, a new map needs to be created as a first step. Can this be included in wayfinding program? Was this a note from last? This was a note from our last.
These are staff notes.
Okay.
That would be
That were
great.
put in after last meeting. So
Okay,
the
great.
tables were revised according to the discussion.
Okay.
And these notes were put in as sort of like next steps or what has to happen for things to move forward.
Okay, awesome. So the wayfinding program, that's a district program separate from the park budget?
Yeah.
Yes. So that first status note, new map needs to be created as a first step, relates to that kiosk map. But that second item, improve road signage at park entrance. So yeah, the wayfinding program. So this is the second year of it. So this is sort of phase 2, and the process with that is that there's going to be criteria developed on the prioritization of like where the signs should go in the community. So that work is happening now. Basically, there's a meeting next week for that to happen.
Okay, great.
And so the signs are going to be looked at holistically in the community, and Smoke Bluffs will be considered as part of that whole. And the staff person that's sort of spearheading that will come to the next meeting here to speak about that.
Okay, great.
So that will encompass the first 2 things on the list then?
I think that was more the road signage sign. But yeah, I guess that's a question whether the kiosk map would also be part of that program. Whether it would sort of be a bigger sign or a smaller sign similar to what's there now.
What do we need to get the map up to date? Are we missing trails or Wes or Toby? Do you recall?
Yeah, I think we're missing trails.
So,
Well, from this
yeah,
one.
so I think I was involved in there have been 2 exercises in the last 3 years. One was our attempt to survey the boundary, which And then after that, as part of the management plan, there was an effort to resurvey the trails, and that ended up being done by me, effectively. So it's in a fairly low-tech way, because the district's extremely advanced GPS equipment doesn't work in the Bluffs, because it has to have a direct line of sight to somewhere in the business park, which is difficult if you're in a gully in the Bluffs. That's my recollection. That may be inaccurate. That's my recollection of what the problem was. So I ended up just doing it on my phone because it needed doing it. So it probably needs doing properly somehow, I would think. The map and the management plan is sort of is pretty better than the previous map, but it's still probably not a map that's of a standard that should be used.
Is there any
For official
opportunity
signage.
within the district to have that done, or is that something we need to arrange via the committee?
There is. I did talk to Gary before this meeting just to determine what is the process for like some of the management projects to happen, and so he said that it's really up to this committee to sort of initiate that work.
Okay.
And so whether it's a matter of needing to ask for council direction to have staff work on these items, or I know in the last meeting there was talk of debris, I think it was the debris management plan, and the discussion was that I think it was Chrissy was going to maybe send out an email and get ideas. So I think the idea is that the direction comes from this committee, sort of the goalposts of what the work would be.
Okay.
But yeah, we as staff need direction to work on.
So we have to have a formal request, like a motion to council to request the work to be done?
In general, like,
Okay.
I mean, smaller projects, no, but anything substantial, yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's go through all these capital projects and then at the end decide what we want to move forward with.
Just a quick question, is there a reason why in the past we haven't been able, like we've tried so many times to get the Smoke Bluffs GPS, why hasn't it worked, or why has in the end we've used a phone, or what would be the alternative? Like if it hasn't worked in the past, what is our solution now to actually getting it to work? Is it just that we haven't been asking the right people? Is it that we didn't want to spend money, but it costs money? So just to be proactive rather than planning everything out and then at the last minute realizing that we're not going to do it. Does anybody?
I think that it would make sense for this committee to ask council to direct staff to work on it.
Okay, so that is the,
I can do that, and then when our meetings come up, so you know what, I'm gonna put a motion forward to do that, because otherwise it won't, like, it needs to be a motion in the minutes, or maybe somebody wants to, it better come in from you guys, so if you want to put a motion forward to direct council, and then it will actually come and show up in the minutes.
Or someone can volunteer from the committee to do it if we want to try and speed things up. I mean, I've got access to high-powered GPS equipment, so.
You want to try and survey it again?
Not the boundary, I mean, I could do the boundary again, but the trails I think are
Do you want to
more
work on
important.
that? We can do that.
Yeah, we could probably do that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But what about, producing a map from that? Isn't that more of a graphics kind of job?
That's Helen's job.
Well,
Does it need to be kind of co-branded with the wayfinding and stuff? I mean, does it need to be in the sort of district look and feel? I mean, is that
Well,
an impediment to projects?
yeah, I think this time it should be done by the district GIS guy.
So we
It
could
should
provide
be-
the
it
trails,
shouldn't be a
We can
problem
provide the
at all.
trails.
Crag
Okay.
locations.
Yeah.
You can probably
Yeah,
just
we
do
can
it
do that.
online with markers, like with the GIS system. Dan, is that something that is in the purview of our GIS system, that we just,
If Craig Walsh, our GIS technician, had the coordinates, I think he could probably create a map quite readily with that.
so
Okay.
we'd still have to get the coordinates with we'd still have to get it surveyed?
Yeah.
And you're willing to volunteer the survey?
As long as Helen helps out.
Of
Oh,
the boundary?
yeah.
Of the boundary or the trails?
No, the trails. And the Crag locations, I suppose.
So we
Because
still
there's new
won't have
crags too that are.
boundary?
So should we still put forward a motion that once the district receives mapping information from us to proceed with generating a new park map?
Yes.
Okay.
When we say new park map, what we mean is a physical, it sounds like there's a little bit, yeah, we're talking about a physical map that goes in the kiosk, not just an online thing.
Yes.
A nice
Well,
paper.
An updated
It could be
kiosk.
both,
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean.
but there- we need
yeah.
something in the kiosk,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
So an updated park kiosk map and
For trails, not boundary.
for trails. Do I need to word that better?
That once trail information is provided by the Smoke Bluffs Committee, council will, was it a kiosk map or was it?
Produce a kiosk.
Yeah, produce the
A
kiosk.
map to be used to place in the kiosk area of the Smoke Bluffs Park.
And once they have the GIS information, they might just add it to the district system and.
They will for sure.
Yeah, so.
But I'm just worried about the park boundary still, because that still leaves out the park boundary.
What do you want to do about the park boundary?
Yeah.
You want to resurvey it?
It's already been surveyed and the points are already, you already have the points?
No, someone moved all the ribbons down.
Right, so how do we, what happens then?
But isn't the boundary, isn't the location of the boundary known? What we were doing was translating the known location of the boundary onto physical reality, right? By
Yes.
putting ribbons. But in order to create a map, you don't need to do that because you're just taking
The GIS points.
GIS to map.
Right, okay.
Can I set
We just wanted to survey the boundary in the field to see where it actually was. We didn't know which crags were in, which crags were out, so that was just
Yeah.
a kind of an
Yeah,
exercise.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But once we've got the GPS locations of the crags, and then you plot them on the map, you might go, oh, this one's not in the park.
Oh, that is the case, and
Yeah.
that's what we found when we
Yeah.
walked. There
Yeah.
are.
There will be
there
some
are-
that are outside,
yes,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there'll be
Yeah.
some trails that are outside.
for sure.
Yeah.
So with
yeah.
relation to the park boundary, can I make a suggestion that we hold that off? Because there is a motion to close later on the agenda, and that might be something that our opinions for, like if we have an idea that maybe there might be a reason for those parcels to be surveyed, not by us, like surveyed in a more professional capacity, or not necessarily that you wouldn't do it in a professional capacity, but like for the purpose of other things, that we might change our opinion on that one. So let's hold that one off for now.
Unofficial park boundary survey.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think one's needed at this point. Yeah, again, anyway.
Okay.
Another one.
So let's move on to, there's the high item of finalizing the addition to the loop trail to extend to the Smoke Bluff Summit near the microwave tower and including an east side trail past Grand Doug Crag.
Sorry, that last motion, we're going to have to
Oh.
talk, or are you gonna?
Oh, we will. Would someone like to approve that motion and second?
Post motion?
So right
You're
now
putting
I
it
have-
forward?
Oh, I put it forward, yes.
Okay, and seconded by Matt?
Okay,
Thanks.
no worries.
What was the motion?
To have the district move forward with the kiosk map.
Oh, okay.
Once they
Once
receive.
they
Once you
receive the
provide the
data.
points. Does it need to be included that the points will be provided by the Smoke Bluffs Committee?
I have that once the Smoke Bluffs Trail is surveyed and the information is provided to council, council will provide a kiosk map for the park. Is that okay?
Or direct staff to produce a kiosk map?
A kiosk map will be provided.
Always use the passive.
Will be provided.
Okay, so the addition to the loop trail. So I think that's probably something we should look at moving forward with. One of our suggestions and one of our priorities is to acquire that north plot, and if we move forward with recreational assets on that property, then it'll give a reason, I think, to potentially move quicker with attaining. Elaine, am I off base?
Yeah, I was actually speaking with Neil today, and he was coming for that later portion of this meeting, but I don't know that it does make sense to go ahead with building a trail until that lease or whatever it is
Okay.
finalized.
Okay.
The new trail's on the east side though.
They're within the park.
They're within the park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So-
we should move towards acquisition of all the lands.
I think there are two different topics here. I think there's
there are two
the
different
east side
topics.
trail is really a different trail to the extension to the loop trail. They're in sort of slightly different locations. And the east side trail is not contingent on, like, it's all internal, it's within the park at the
Oh, okay.
moment. I mean, I don't know whether it'd be a good idea perhaps for people to re-walk some of these places before the next meeting or something, to acquaint themselves with what we're talking about. I mean, particularly whether the east side trail is a good idea or not, or whether it should, maybe it should just go to Grand Dug, which is a genuinely worthwhile cliff, or
It wouldn't take much to just extend it past Grand Dug.
I don't think so. No, it wouldn't be the same. I know it wouldn't be the same kind of trail as the trail that would go on the Crown Land parcel, which would be a flatter kind of. You really have to. Well, we've walked this stuff. You really need to sort of walk the stuff on the ground to understand the different characteristics of what would be created by working on this stuff.
Yeah, like what type of trail, if it's like a loop trail type of trail, or like a lumberland type of trail.
But I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves in planning a trail on a parcel parts of land we haven't acquired yet. I think the more important issue is to get that parcel of Crown Land south of the microwave tower, or southwest of the microwave tower, into the park, and then we can discuss trail alignments and uses. So that's the primary thing, to get that parcel into.
But we could move ahead on thinking about the East Side Trail
Oh,
for
yeah.
a while. There's
Yeah,
no reason
yeah.
not. They're actually different. They are
Yeah.
essentially different projects, different locations.
So would you like to have an informal walkthrough?
That's what I think would be a good idea.
between now and the next
Yeah.
meeting? Do you want to
Yeah.
arrange that, Toby?
I guess. Yeah.
Do we have to have a committee vote to have an informal walkthrough, or no? Okay. Okay.
Is it a meeting because we're all there?
Well, Melissa, what do you think?
I don't know for sure because it's a committee. Let me email Robin. Find out.
So should we divide that one item into two?
I think so. I think they are. I think the only reason they were sort of conflated is because they're both potential routes to the microwave tower. If that's considered a appropriate objective, which it probably is. But they're essentially coming in from different directions.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's already informal trail up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Both of these, both of these trails effectively exist. They're just not in good shape. Yeah, from last year. Yeah.
Or parts of one of them is a bit of an illegal trials bike trail.
Yes, they do have a
Above the Grand Dug there's that trials bike trail.
Though that's actually that's in Spencer's Polygon.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in the management plan.
Yeah.
So that is, that's
Not
not here
illegal.
obviously to contribute to the conversation,
Not
but
illegal.
that was, I think illegal is not the right,
No, it's not the right
the
word.
right word. Yeah.
For Spencer.
So should these maybe, should these still be high, or should they be moderate,
Yeah, I think so.
still high?
I think so. What do we think about the priorities, guys?
I think we should, if we're, we could, I don't know if we should keep this one to high or moderate, but then perhaps we should move the acquisition of the property up to high and put the trail down to moderate.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about putting the loop trail extension to moderate but keeping the Grand Dug trail as high? Because that one we can actually do.
I'm happy with that.
That's true.
Let's leave the low priority ones today unless anyone thinks any of those should be moved up. But for the High Cliff Trail within park, it says, there's a note that says some work may be done within Crag Keepers. Has that?
Yeah, there was some work done last year.
Okay.
And, yeah, I see that as a volunteer kind of project, it's not particularly.
I'm wondering about the bathrooms, just because currently, without bathrooms down there and without the knowledge of bathrooms for visitors to the park, you're just creating, no sanitary infrastructure, but that means that people are putting their waste in the woods. So without if there's some way that we could look at a grant again from MEC, or look at to see if there's any outdoor recreation grants available.
Which
for a
washroom?
composting toilet in the.
Parking lot?
The main parking lot?
So, as I understand it, we have one porta potty there year round and then a second in the summer.
Okay, so there's already two there, but they're not permanent.
One of them is there in place year round.
So that's adequate. for
Unless
your
this
park.
committee wants to direct, or request council to direct staff to look into that, into the feasibility of a composting toilet there, or if this committee wants to look for
Composting
grants.
toilet up top was done with grants. So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't, if there's money available to do something that was low cost, why we wouldn't look into at least grants. If there's no grants available, I totally agree, not a priority, but
Wouldn't
if
be
there's
low cost
funding available.
necessarily, typically those units come in at about 15 grand.
Didn't someone at the last meeting bring up that Vancouver Coastal Health was not happy with the composting toilet for some reason?
No, I believe that was within reference to the
Campground.
campground.
Oh yeah, no, that's campground.
Climbers
That's
campground.
not.
One thing we did, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Gary said that it was quite costly to keep the porta potties as well, because they have maintenance for like cleaning them out all the time. And he said they were going twice a week during the summer months to clean it out. So, let's put forward a motion.
But it was also said that those porta potties had like a life expectancy, I don't know if that's right, of like 5 years, and
They
this
replaced them
one,
with the rent.
but this one has been going on for so much longer that they've expected it, just the way it's been running has been much better than they expected, so they said they'd do it again if they could.
Which,
The one up at the,
Composting.
the life expectancy of the composting toilet, Brian, that's much longer than 5 years.
or they said,
yeah.
or I know I'm just making up a
No,
number,
it's,
but they were saying,
To put it in perspective, I actually reviewed the composting toilet after 3 years, and it was a huge success in terms of the waste management pile, so to speak,
Yeah.
and the general utility of it was fantastic. I think they're, I mean, I think the BC parks are starting to put them in the Alpine now and all over, and I think they're the way to go, absolutely, in that scenario.
Okay, so
If you
let's.
don't have access to plumbing.
Elaine, are you able to rephrase, or to phrase that motion that you had before, or is that not, are you not allowed to? It was just worded really nicely. Put forward a motion to have the District of Squamish provide a feasibility assessment on.
I think it's just, a motion that would direct staff to look
To
into
look
the
into-
feasibility of a composting toilet here.
Feasibility and grant financing. Because I know MEC has grants, and there's a lot of outdoor rec companies that have funds to put into. You can even look at Patagucci and all that.
To be clear, you should also include the term UD, urine diversion. There's different types of composting toilets, you have to define it. A UD composting toilet, that is what is existing in the Bluffs right now. So there's an important difference.
And why are we directing the district to do a feasibility study? Why don't we just direct them to install it?
Yes.
It works, yes.
Can we say that instead?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does someone want to second that?
Well, what are we seconding?
Okay, so Wes, how about you put forth the motion?
I'd like to put forward a motion that the district install a UD composting toilet at the main parking lot.
I second that.
Okay,
Great.
is that too vague?
Great.
The only, that would require, well, I guess it wouldn't necessarily require capital money if there is a grant, but if it's,
When it comes forward, we can discuss where the money comes from and financing for it. Depending on the cost of it, it might even be able to come out of council contingency, which we also have to spend.
The council will save money then,
Exactly.
instead of carnings,
Right.
and they really will.
Yeah,
it's on Carney's on the website.
And
I think it's Carney's, but it's not
You might
owned
want
by
to go, the
Carney's.
problem is you might want to go for a double one, that's the problem. It's a very, very high traffic area.
Yes.
Or just have a porta potty as a summer backup? Maybe.
Yeah, that could happen. I feel going the whole UD route.
You want me to move this down so I stop eating from it?
We, I mean, if the Smoke Bluffs committee also has any money left over at the end, will we be able to put that towards something like this?
That's a good option
Yeah,
too.
the
'cause-
runoff of the money is, I'm like leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, I mean, there's $3 grand in at the end of 26 17 just from the maintenance, and there was almost $5,000 left at the end of last year.
Yeah, we don't
for
do
Yeah, we'll come back and clarify what those budgets are for, because it is quite clear that you can't use like a maintenance budget for capital items, as far as I understand.
That would be great, yeah, it's definitely not clear to me
Okay.
what each of them are. So the last two items we've got on our list here are follow-up with the long-term real estate strategy.
Neil coming in?
Yes, I have an answer to the walk.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
So
so
we have to go into close for the Mountain Blind channel, isn't it? Private?
sorry. Regarding capital?
Oh, we will be going into close.
Okay, for the walk, you're more than welcome to go on a walk, but we ask that you don't actually move business forward.
Okay.
Discussion, absolutely, but make sure that any business that moves forward happens at the committee meeting. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's go to management priorities, if everyone's happy with capital. So we've got land issues, specified policy for race events that use the park. So I guess one option, I'm just trying to think of what this might refer to, but we could decide as a committee if there's a number of events we want. But is that's more at Devin's discretion. Is that correct? The amount of events in the park?
I'm sorry, you've lost me here.
Flipping on management priorities, second page,
Manage your priorities. Yeah.
and second item down.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't see that. Thanks.
Does anyone have any issues with the race events that have been held in the park in the last few years?
Well, I think there's been I mean, it's changed, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I've lost track of what goes through I mean, so Testamental is gone, right? BC Bike Race still goes through the park, right? Does that recur every year, or? Yeah, I mean, I think as a resident, I think there's a persistent concern that in the lead up to these events, people start racing on them, and those trails contain blind performers and so forth. People are wandering around with their tiny dogs and their tiny children. Yeah.
I think certain ones like the BC Bike Race is a little different than like the Testamental, because it's people coming from all over to do that one.
Right, smaller group, right.
Yeah, well, it's still maybe 600 people
Out of
or
town.
something. There are a lot of them from out of town, so they don't train for it.
Right.
So that one
yeah.
is more of a one-off. They use a lot of ribboning because they are people that are new to the area, so they'll
Right.
put a lot of ribbon out to mark their course.
I mean, I don't recall last year that the level of that it was generating, that there was the same fuss
No.
about this kind of topic as before, so perhaps it has receded since the Testamental ended.
We did complain quite specifically about the use of motorcycles as leaders, or the leader riders.
That was in
Going
the
through-
BC Bike Race.
Yeah, going through the BC Park, and I think we ceased doing that.
So should we move that one down on the list maybe to moderate? It doesn't seem like it needs any action.
That'd be good.
Sorry, before you take it off of a high priority, that's this year. So we
Yes.
don't, developing policy is always something that is, if there are concerns that you have with speeding through the park, or just having some set of guidelines for races in the park, because it's not just bike races, it's running races, and there are going to be more, not less. So because we didn't see a lot last year, doesn't mean that there's a whole bunch of races, I know running races, and so if there's anything that you want to protect the environment or to protect the area, or even signage for residents or notice to residents, it might be worth having a look at policy. And if it's not in there, it doesn't happen, and it can take years, so.
So do we want to change it to maybe like develop just like a standard policy to enhance safety and reduce conflict in the park? Just like an overall kind of arching, whether you're a walker or a racer, you have this.
Yeah, or even training for races, I totally agree with Toby, is that the amount of people that train through the park as well. Strava has increased traffic, as well, because there's even just the fact of Strava giving race loops in the park, which it does, means that people are going as fast as they can and are not as aware of other people, or respectful maybe of other people that are using the park. So it might be good to have just general policy for training or racing in the park.
Are we worried about foot racers, or are we talking just about mountain biking?
I think it's just standard in general, just any kind of, just developing a policy to enhance safety and reduce conflict in the park amongst for any type of activity, whether you're sprinting through, commuting, or having your headphones and walking with your friends 4 in a row and somebody's trying to get by, whatever it is,
Not to get messy trying to.
No, there wouldn't be any enforcement yet, but maybe some guidelines and recommendations that can be handed out to race.
So I guess that could kind of fall.
Races, there's some running races that actually now include rappelling.
That's the survivor run.
The survivor race, so I just think it would be prudent to put minds towards what would be disrespectful behavior as far as race.
Okay.
In the past, I know under the management plan, I'm not quite sure how it would work now, but in the past, Devon guest would phone some of us up, one of us, usually me, because I was with special events before, saying, we've got this group coming to town, can I send them to you? And they would phone me up and they'd tell me what they were doing. And then I get back and say, these people are okay, but can we still do that under the current management plan, or we're in a new regime here?
Devin does still do that. She emails me with event applications, and then I can bring them concerns forward to the board to review.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Or the committee.
We meet so seldom now, the rest of the law board.
That is
There has to
true.
be some mechanism where we can react quickly to events that, as Susan said, these events are going to become more frequent, not less frequent. So we need some mechanism so we can address them in a timely manner. So.
Okay.
Is there already a policy that would cover most of things that would happen at the races, like the filming policy? Is there something that we can kind of take most of that and condense it down and add a few things
It's a
to
good
for
question.
races, rather than trying to start over from scratch?
Absolutely, and that might be just something that, the film policy or whoever, the idea, maybe it's just formalized that at the beginning of every year, maybe our March meeting, that the races that are coming forward have their applications in before the summer.
I like
For
your
this
idea of
meeting.
having a handout for race organizers, that way they don't have to figure out who to call
That's a great
and
idea.
at the committee, and maybe we forget
Expectations.
something, or, at least everything's written down, they can refer, they have certainty that way too, they can refer to the policy.
This is just an idea. Because we do meet less frequently, is there any opportunity, I don't know if the district uses SharePoint or if committees are allowed access to resources like that, but a resource where we could have for the committee a site, for example, that we could share data on. I wouldn't use a Google Drive or something because it's a district committee, but even if I kept a spreadsheet of the event requests that Devin sent to me with the attached information that committee members could look at, or is that beyond the scope of our committee?
So something not as public as a web page, but something more just
Like
for
a
this
Slack
committee.
channel or something,
What's that?
like a Slack channel or something.
More as in an information sharing between the committee?
Yeah, I'm sure we can think of something. I know we have an extranet
Okay.
site. That maybe you could each have a link to that.
Okay,
I can look into that.
that'd be great.
Okay.
And I can help set it up if that's if organizations need it, I can help with that stuff. Okay, so do we want to just develop specific policy for race events that use a park, or do we want to reword this to include a handout, or?
Are we going to be putting a motion to direct staff to do this, or is this something that one of us wants to take on and look at the film policy and condense it down, or is that?
I think, Brian, do you think the film policy has enough in it that would be relevant to the use of the trails during events like this? Or is
Not
it?
really, but
It's pretty
we did add an
specific.
amendment to the film policy.
Okay.
It could be tacked on there as well. I mean, we could talk to Devin Guest about that, if that would be appropriate, yeah, we could draft up something that could be tacked on, she could hand it out. She could do that as well as handing out film. But the film policy document worked well, and does work well, so I'm sure we could.
$1 in all the ticket prices that go to the Smoke Bluff Committee. Beer fund. I meant regular fund.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, writing policy was really tricky because I was the chair during that film policy, and writing it was really challenging, and it was very labor intensive, and then it went to staff, and then a lot of it, went to the lawyers and got rewritten anyway. So I think just some guidelines probably from the committee is what they'd like to see, like events not double booked in the park, just some principles, and then it could be handed off to district staff probably would be my recommendation for actually drafting the policy aspect.
Is that film policy available somewhere?
Yeah, it's on the district website. It's an official document at that district. I forget what the number is, but you can find it on the website.
So why don't I can distribute the link to the film policy for us all to review, and the next meeting we can make a list of things that we'd like to move forward to the district.
But it can't be part of the film policy.
No, but just like guidelines for
Guidelines
preferences.
for trail use for any events, really.
Okay.
Film or
Protecting
race
our
or
park
otherwise.
assets.
Yeah. Not just trails, yeah, crags, anchors, everything, trees, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just making my own notes. Okay, the next item we've got develop debris management strategy. So I did everyone receive an email from me? I didn't receive any responses about questions. No one received it? I think I sent it just after the last meeting, and it was just to remind everyone to send me any questions they had, concerns or questions they had regarding the debris management strategy, so we could bring those forward to the district, but I didn't hear back from anybody.
I did get your email.
Okay, so it did go out. I was like,
Yeah.
did I not send it?
I feel like maybe it should be rolled into the overall wildfire management plan for the whole district. I don't know if we should have something specific just for the Smoke Bluffs. I don't know if it'd be a good use of our time, because I think something like that would already be a part of the wildfire management plan.
Really?
Further to what Wes just said, I did connect with another staff who is involved in a wildfire protection plan, so that is under development, and I think within the next month they might have some sort of a draft, and so staff could maybe refer that to this committee for a review of the Smoke Bluff specific element.
Okay.
Are the Smoke Bluffs included in the wildfire management, or is it residential mostly?
I don't know, but the staff member I spoke to thought that it would be relevant for this committee, so I will find out more about that.
Historically, we did look at this in the past, but we backed off because it got horrendously complicated very quickly. I mean, for example, if you wanted to do a simple burn, for example, of debris, it isn't that simple really. There's airshed considerations. You have to have somebody there 24 hours while the thing is burning. Somebody has to be there with fire suppression equipment and so on. It got out of our scope of practice really to take that on, so we sort of more or less abandoned it. So I think it's really more a wildfire management responsibility.
To my knowledge, the district does have a wildfire management plan that is quite a number of years old now. I didn't know actually that they were updating it.
I didn't either actually.
But that staff member did contact me about some basically disposing of yard waste and how to encourage community members to do that. And what we do down at the wastewater treatment plant is produce a lot of biosolids. Those biosolids go to Kearney's composting facility in the Callahan Valley, where they use a large amount of green waste. They chip it, so they have to mix it with the biosolids to get the compost process going. So there's a big beneficial reuse opportunity for what a lot of people perceive as just being debris. So if you can get it out of there and up to that facility, somehow it's instead of burning it, you're kind of helping with two things.
Getting it out is
It's the hard
problematical
part.
too.
It's a really good point though that you make, because a lot of people that border the houses border on green belts, they'll trim a lot of stuff and they throw it down to the green belt. And these green belts are often our future trail corridors, and it makes it more challenging when you've got to go through, you know.
Well, and then you've got piles of dried wood waste sitting there that become a fire hazard too.
I wonder if it could be, like, I think for the groups you work with, Brian, you wouldn't want to have a group just bringing debris all the time, but it could be something we do a community trail day, or like a community initiative for like call on people to come help carry, if we had a truck coming in, call on people to come help carry out some of.
Yeah, Toby has run a small program like that near one crag, but it was still relatively close to a trailhead or
Okay.
roadhead.
Yeah.
Once you get back to places like Octopus Gardens and you know,
It's hard for people.
higher up in the park, it gets logistically difficult to all that stuff out.
Or with a training day, carry a log out with you.
So what we've typically done in the past is lock up scanner back into the forest.
That's what our instructions were for
Yeah.
the fire marshal at the
Yeah.
time.
I think the other thing about the debris management plan, if I remember, was that it was when people are building trails or if people are going to start creating things, there's been a lot of debris left over and other things left. And so it was trying to mitigate that problem where in the end it comes down on the Small Bluffs Park committee to go out and try to clean up. It's like the stairs were ruined because of XYZ or something. So it's just coming up with what can we come up before people go out there and build stuff or renovate things, or what can we do so that it basically looks like how they left it, or in how they left it looks like when they came. So I think that was part of also the debris management plan or strategy.
Wes, did you have something to add?
There's definitely some areas in the park that are higher fuel hazards, like forest fire hazards than others. So if there is going to be a debris management strategy, it's going to have to kind of tackle the larger issue of the fire hazard rather than just a few branches from Crag being opened up. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge issue right now, the current amount of debris from crag keeping and trail maintenance. I think the bigger issue is the understory, really dense understory of Douglas fir and lodgepole pine and a few areas of the park.
So would anyone like to change this priority as it sits now, or should we wait till potentially next meeting when the district's able to bring forward what they have for the fire? Is that the wildfire strategy?
I think the latter, yeah.
Wildfire protection plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if there could be some provisions in the wildfire protection plan to allow burning of small piles of debris after crag keeping, or some sort of guidelines or directions or ability to do that within the park, because it's kind of remote location with, it is not close to a road anywhere. You can't bring you could bring a chipper in, I suppose, but the volumes are so small that, they do build up over time, but.
I think maybe when the wildfire management plan comes back, if there's anything that prevents burning, that's the opportunity to actually refer putting burning into the wildfire management plan. It may already be in there, and until we get it back, we don't really know what's prohibited and what's actually allowed. So maybe that's an opportunity to review the plan and say there needs to be a provision for small pile burning.
Yeah, it's great. We'll have the opportunity to weigh in on it. Okay, so next item, the ongoing review of trail function and user compatibility related to commuter traffic along the main trail. Has anyone have comments or seen any issues or?
Seems to be working well enough to
That's great.
I haven't seen really much in the way of cultures.
Is there anything we want to try and move forward with on this item today?
It seems to me this is the same item as the next item, more or less, isn't it? People aren't really worried about pedestrians bumping into each other. Well, Laura, you-
What if they're texting?
They need those feelers on, like
Yeah.
cycling feelers down for texting in the park.
Is there any concerns on that next priority? I'm moving things forward a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
here because I see
Yeah.
Neil's come, so.
I didn't mean to rush it. I just-
Okay.
Should we combine those two into one item?
I think we should. I think then it doesn't also call out cycling specifically.
Yeah, maybe call it, a multi-use trail policy to enhance safety.
Yeah, and user compatibility really covers that too.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? Multi-use?
Multi-use, develop a, multi-use trail policy to enhance safety? Or which enhances safety, maybe? Multi-use trail policy which enhances safety?
What would that look like?
What
Piece of
policy
paper with a
Yeah.
look like? Probably strategies, I suppose, where, speed limits maybe in some spots.
What you said, you don't do
Trail separation in spots.
no dual events.
Yeah.
Don't happen in the Bluffs.
Avoiding dual events, for sure, yeah.
We ran into issues with defining certain trails as being permitted only for certain uses, that it was unenforceable.
Yeah.
I think too, that's the purpose of this wording is that we don't need to designate trails until we determine there's an issue with user compatibility. Was that the consensus?
Yeah, again, broke.
So we've got a couple other moderate items here. I think if everyone, I'd like to suggest that we remove the dry compost toilet performance because I think we've covered that already. Brian gave us a briefing of how it's working and at a previous meeting and a little bit today. Is everyone okay with that?
sounds good.
Okay. Anything for the vegetation management plan?
I thought that we had already included a fairly extensive section in the management plan on that.
For the vegetation management?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like set in stone and developed in cooperation with BC Hydro, but we've kind of we've defined how we would like the park to be managed.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
I mean, just whenever BC Hydro is going to be doing any more veg management, that they need to sort of be referred to that plan.
Okay.
How did our plantings go? We planted a considerable number of, I believe, pine needles.
Yeah,
In the lower
I
part.
think it's doing
How's
well.
that going?
Yeah,
It's working out, is it?
yeah, across from Mosquito there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's doing
I'm
well.
not familiar with that stuff, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Could we perhaps direct, I know there's a district staff in charge of like environmental issues and whatnot, just that they provide oversight when BC Hydro is doing their brushing. In years past, we've seen trees kind of topped and just like to maybe have some oversight to make sure best practices are followed by BC Hydro as they proceed with their brushing.
I seem to remember Lane did a very good job in the last go around, sort of working with BC Hydro to mitigate a lot of that.
Brian?
So we can take that, or no, it's not taken off the list, but it's reworded.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for that to recommend the district environmental department works with Hydro for environmental best practices?
I don't think we need a motion
Is
on
that okay up there?
Yeah.
Thanks, Lynn.
So we've got the FMCVC land transfer. We want to keep that at moderate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's another not broke.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah. It's not broken.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we've just got the front country and back country zones and work with adjacent land developers to create neighborhood connectivity. Does anyone want to go through those ones today or can we move on? Okay.
Do we want to move finalized FMBC land transfer to low, Alan?
We could.
Okay.
It seems to be a low priority, so. I mean, at the moment, once an issue arises, then it will become a higher priority.
Once the lawyers start getting involved. No offense to any lawyers.
We've tried that and it just goes nowhere, so. I mean, everyone seems fine with the way things, with status quo. So, yeah.
Okay, so maintenance priorities. We've got improved trail at the base of Penny Lane Cliff.
So that's, I got a report from the contractor today, the first 2 bullets have been completed.
Okay.
When did you do that?
I don't know.
Is the second item being panorama?
Yeah, it's been done.
Yeah, that is.
Reasonably, but could use a little bit more, but it's been done.
And Penny Lane seems to be growing in now also after the BC Hydro, so the trail seems to be getting more packed down.
There's a lot of traffic there, it probably will sustain itself to a large degree.
Installed picnic tables at Mosquito, Play Park, Tunnel Rock.
I've got an item later on about picnic tables in general, so.
Okay. Does anyone want to, do we want to move anything forward with this one? It's our only high priority item that's not addressed.
Brian and I were looking at the viewpoint above Octopus Garden and suggesting that should sort of move up.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't
Yeah, that
sound
should
like
be a high.
particular user group, but it's a nice, maybe.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, we need to have maybe John Harvey look at that. It's a pretty small job to sort of go in there and log it out and do a little bit of training. So,
Okay.
perhaps install a picnic table.
Where's the viewpoint of Octopus Garden?
If you're going across the top of the loop trail, as you go along, you can turn left to go to the microwave tower more or less, or if you turn right at that general area, you can walk out onto a nice bench, which is now a little bushy and scruffy, but there are several nice stone benches out there, or stone slabs, and a little bit of selective logging would open up viewpoints to the campsite.
So this is like at the top end of Octopus Garden?
Yeah.
Maybe above, very
It's
top.
above
Okay.
Octopus Garden, effectively.
And,
Above itself?
Yeah, it's actually in the park. It's at, when we were doing the survey, it's actually right on the line. Yeah, right inside.
it would be a really low budget item just to create the viewpoint, and as far as a picnic table is concerned, that's a very hard area to get a conventional picnic table to. It would require sort of machinery to get it up there, so I would recommend we hire somebody like Todd Nichols, who's done picnic tables for a project I'm involved with at Furry Creek Beach, where we use recycled wood, and they come in at about $500 for a really nice table, so that strategy could be used there quite nicely.
Is there an existing trail?
Pardon?
Is there an existing trail to get to that spot?
Yes, there is. Sorry, it just needs to be rationalised and signed maybe, and a bit more formalised.
It's only about 20 meters.
These come in at about $500 or $600, so it can be made with recycled material on sites.
This is something, I mean, if we do manage to organise a park walkthrough, we could
Let's add that to
that would
it.
be easily.
It's on the list of things, so yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll move that to high.
I would say so.
How about clean up Tunnel Rock area?
Nothing wrong with it,
I'm not sure.
I think that we were talking about the lower town rock.
yeah.
The Larry will know.
I think that's dying.
Yeah. It's mossy over a while.
It's pretty indifferent, right? I think we just maybe just let that sort of die a natural death.
So should we remove that item?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been there for so long.
Improve park entrance for safety. So the note says, was this addressed with the culvert installation? How does everyone feel about that? Is this in reference to the brush, like as you come into the parking lot, or at the start of the trails into the parking lot? Does anyone remember?
I think maybe initially this was the fact that there was one lane in, and so two cars couldn't exit at the same, like come in and go out at the same time. So I think again there might be sort of two issues kind of being confused here, where I think improved park entrance was the fact that it was kind of narrow. It has been widened, there's a pedestrian setback and whatnot, so it seems
Okay.
improved. Visibility is improved. I don't know though if you can get 2 cars by, but I'm not sure.
Touch it.
So we can take that one off the list then?
I think so.
I think so.
Install additional portable toilets in main parking lot. Do you want to remove that from the list,
Yeah.
being that we put
Yeah.
the motion for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Debris management at Penny Lane and Tunnel Rock bases and trail erosion. So I think the Penny Lane trail erosion and the base was kind of part of the first one. Any,
So the note I have is that the contractor's kind of working on it on an ongoing basis and
Okay.
has done some of it.
okay. Consider moving sign in the middle of the parking lot. Has there been any, because I always walk to the park from Valley Cliff, so
It's done.
it's done? Okay, so that can come off.
Oh, in the middle of the parking lot?
Yeah.
The one that, after they redid the parking lot?
It says in the middle of the park.
Oh, sorry, I meant parking lot.
It's really street.
An ongoing program of machine maintenance, we should keep that. But it had, some work was done on it earlier this year. Okay, does anyone have any things they think should be added?
So those last 2 items stay the way they are?
The second, like consider moving the sign in the middle of the parking and just come right off the parking lot.
Okay, but the debris management and the ongoing machine maintenance?
Can I make a suggestion about the ongoing machine maintenance? Just
Sure.
that, the trail above the play park, has that always been in there? Or is that like a new addition? I don't know, it just comes to mind because it's one of the routes that I walk up, that it's quite a loose gravelly surface trail, like there's big cobbles and stuff, and
Which one are you talking about?
the trail up,
That's the start of the loop trail.
you start a loop trail, I guess, yeah, like up past lunch break wall.
Oh, okay, that just gets washed out every winter. doesn't it?
Yeah, like if there was maybe some surfacing that could be put on it, or, a couple of other water bars or small culverts or something just to.
That falls under sort of John Harvey's. sort of-
Yeah, so if there was something that we could say, hey, John, go take a look at this as an option, I don't know if it's in the budget to bring in some surfacing and do something like that, but.
I think the idea was we should bring in Keith Halverson. We can't do this anymore because we're no longer sort of hands-on, but in the past we would bring in Keith Halverson from time to time just to go around and do a little nipping and packing on places like that after the winter rains. And I think that should be reconsidered at some point.
Yeah, even a bit more of a ditch on the inside and
Yeah, I mean,
another couple cross
That's,
drains.
again, that's something John Harvey should be on top of.
Yeah, this,
So
is
could we
this
just point that out to
listed for
John?
him, right? This
Yeah.
is the list of things we ask him to do, is that the maintenance work priorities? Okay. So let's add that in, an extra item, and we could move that to high.
Sure. He only has one thing on high. so
Yeah,
far.
so we could, improve surfacing of start of loop trail above play park. Surfacing and drainage. And that would include ditching and water bars, etc.
So that trail maintenance though might require some machine work, because I think by hand that's,
Yeah,
That's a
I don't-
Keith.
It's rocky there, yeah.
That's a Keith job, but don't, I mean, that's a John can already.
but John can, yeah, he can oversight, see it, yeah.
Okay. And he'll give us a quote for that, is that correct, if he organizes?
I'll give John a quote for it, right? Like,
Oh.
we're not really.
Yeah, and then John will give us a quote
Oh, you
to be
will?
approved, is that correct? Or he'll give it to the district?
So we're no longer involved in that level of detailing in the
Okay.
park enforcement. So.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure where the funds come for, anybody John has to subcontract, but I do know that he has, in the past, brought in some equipment to help him out with his O&M in the park.
Okay. We can deal with that at the time. Okay, so we've got, Laura, I had you under for trails update.
Yeah.
Is that, I think we put you in there last time, but if you.
I'm fine
are you
with
happy
being
to
on
do-
that, but I have
Okay.
to be honest with the weather lately, I haven't been in the park too often, but I do plan on going in to see if we have any erosion or anything going on.
Okay.
I'm sure that John probably sees that when he walks through
Mm-hmm.
himself, but I will go through.
Brian and I did a terrifying walk.
Hey?
We did an alpine style reverse of the
Oh,
park
did you?
a couple of weeks ago. It took us about 3 hours.
You guys need yak
Terrifying
tracks.
was the
Put
right-
some yak tracks on.
It was ice all the way.
Yeah.
I didn't really learn much, did I? It's survival.
Use axes.
That was the problem, we didn't bring enough equipment.
Two long-term
I don't mind,
mountaineers.
I don't mind staying on that item, because I normally do go through the park regularly.
Okay.
It's just been the weather.
I know we had just thrown you on there,
That's
so I wanted
okay,
to
I
make
don't
sure
mind.
that was
I mean, we
okay.
didn't spot anything, I mean, we didn't exactly see fallen trees or anything.
No, there's a couple of places I have a little bit of a concern for. Maybe I'll flag them sometime and put some tape across it and mention it to John in passing. And you might want to sort of remediate a little bit, but it's minor stuff.
On the last climbing day I went out, it was like a couple weeks ago, but I did notice there was some work that was done to the far side of the loop trail, just kind of like minor things like rocks moved over, and so it's definitely like there was definitely some improvements done.
There's a little bridge over a mucky spot just by Pixie Corner there, just before Pixie Corner. I don't know if it was necessary.
That's just John being
It looks good.
Okay, so where are we? We're on the amended agenda. So Brian, would you like to go ahead with Craig?
Yeah, I see Neil is dying to talk to us here, so always disappearing. So I'll make this really brief. The free and easy Crag, I think you're all should be aware now, has become a huge success at various levels. It's probably going to be the equivalent of burgers and fries in the future in terms of the clientele and the popularity being close to the water, etc., etc. And Alan Stevens and his partner have to be commended for doing an enormous amount of work there, with some assistance from SAS with crag keepers and so on. But really it's down to him and his partner. They've not only produced a magnificent sort of climbing site, they've also removed a lot of industrial debris out of there. John Harvey has been quite cooperative in helping them out and hauling the stuff away, as has Perry Beckham permitting access through the area. So I would like to recommend that we acquire a couple of standard picnic tables for that area to enhance the social aspect of it and reward Harry's or Alan's efforts. They really deserve a little bit of support there. So I'd like to move that one forward. The crag keeping program is now in its second year, and it worked quite well last year. We're quite pleased, and they're coming back this year. So Funorama is probably going to be dealt with by a group from the Vancouver rock climbing group. Upper Loop Trail we've dealt with. That's it. So free and easy is a great acquisition for the park.
So did you want to put that forward as a motion?
Yes, I'd like to move that 2 standard parks picnic tables be installed at Alan Stevenson's direction. It's his project where he wants them in that area to serve a growing social area.
Is there any issues with private land?
No, that little parcel, I believe,
But access
is a
to
tiny
private
little sort of district parcel. So
It is, but what about access along
Access
Lunch
is
Inn?
access is from High
From
Point.
the Virgint High
Technically it's High Point, so it's coming from High Point.
Yeah.
Typically people walk in for a drink as well. What can you do?
Okay.
But there is legal access.
There is,
Yes, that's my understanding. Is it, you know the mapping better than I do, Toby? I think we looked at that the other day at your house, that little parcel.
It's a crown parcel.
Crown parcel.
I don't know if that's an issue, I mean.
Yeah, it is a crown parcel. What are you ever going to do with it? So anyway.
Put picnic tables on it, so you get them.
Yeah, most people are issue. So anyway, that's all I've got on that. So.
That's great, thank you, Brian.
You want a seconder?
Oh, second that.
Okay. And vote.
You have to call it.
Oh, yeah. Question. Show of hands. Do you think Neil will be?
I'll go grab
Okay. I'll wait till
Oops,
she
okay.
comes back to do the motion.
So I think the meeting is, because they're so infrequent, having an hour.
Oh, I'm okay, I'm gonna wait till,
Chrissy, do you want?
I'm gonna grab some cake.
That cake is ridiculously
Good
good.
work there, Chrissy. Yeah, a little snack there. So. Where did Neil go to? Did he fly away?
Which one?
I had this one. It was
we'd never finish on debris management.
Okay, we're all set. Okay, so roundtable starting with me. I don't have much, but just want to thank you guys for hanging in there today and getting lots done. Laura?
I'm good, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good. No, I'm fine.
Elaine?
I don't have much that hasn't already been discussed.
Toby?
Yeah, so, Brian, Brian and I have noticed recently that the industrial, let's call it the industrial triangle, which is north of the Dranker lands and next to the parking lot, next to the official planners parking lot, has acquired some sort of mysterious sort of internal subdivision, and there's now what seems to be there always seems to be change going on there, but it seems to now have a courier business. I think it's called something like Whistler Courier, which has its only business exit is into the climbers parking lot. So they've built a wall within the parcel.
Block wall or something.
It's a block wall, it's a concrete block wall, which means that this business, its only means of entry and exit is into the parking lot. And so we just question, is that consistent with appropriate land use there? Is there the bylaw issue, and also is there a safety issue, because it appears to be that entry exit is right by the gate. And also, I think because the district aspires to be able to lock the gate from time to time, I'm actually not quite sure where the gate is in relation to that, but it looks like something that should be
Sure, staff will look at that.
Should look at it, yeah.
Is there another way for them to get in and out?
If they remove that block wall, but what they appear to have done, as far as I suspect, I don't know, but I don't think that property has been subdivided. So I think the owner has done a kind of internal, I have no idea whether that's legal or not, but they've done an internal restructuring of that parcel so that there's a block wall. But if the block wall was removed, then the courier business could use the other.
So where the landscaper used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Marie's place. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Do you know what we're talking? We're talking about, the triangle.
That's what a trailer used to be?
So,
yeah.
There's lots of them, so.
I once met a girl who lived in her Prius, and in there.
there are people
Prius.
Yeah,
there are people living in that.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's the entrance. That entrance exit is now much closer to, because since the parking lot has been changed and widened, that entry exit is more or less straight on the road. But what isn't in that image in the aerial map also is there's now this wall that's been built across the industrial lot.
It's been there for a little while. But there was a different business. There was
Comes and goes.
so last year there was somebody living there in a trailer. But this is something different. Now there's a business operating there. It's a branded Whistler Courier something with several branded vans. So kind of something different is happening.
Also, I have to ask, does Roach have an unsightly premises bylaw? Because it is, from a point of view of the park, it's pretty bloody awful. It's all sorts of storage going on, there's junk everywhere. I mean, it really doesn't showcase the park very well, so, as you are entrance. So.
Okay, yeah, no, staff will look at that and report back.
Okay, thank you.
So that was a double.
Okay.
No, nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Move to adjourn.
Move to close or adjourn the meeting. Brian, Donna. Great. Thank you, guys.
Hey, awesome.
And thanks